LWCAD LITE Shingle. Shingle is a library object in LWCAD which is used for Shingles tool, which is placing shingles on the roofs automatically. Before you set your shingle preset, you need to add different shingle types into library. In this video, I will explain all 11 different types of shingles you can add into library. Then I'll show you how to add them into library, and finally we will discuss about special shingle type connector, which is a little bit more complicated than other shingles. Shingle types overview. There are 11 different types of shingles in this library, and it is very important to understand each shingle type, naming, how it is placed on the roof, where it is placed on the roof, and what additional kind of parameters you can set for this shingle type. Basic shingle type is named just shingle, and it is every shingle on roof surface. Next version is left shingle. Left shingle is just modification of a regular shingle with different ending on the left side, but this left version must be identical with regular shingle to fit into the row with other shingles. Same for right version. On the right side of the roof you can place right version of shingle type, and if these two versions are not defined, so if there is no right and left shingle in preset, then regular shingle is used everywhere, also on the left and right side of the roof. Here we have another example how roof ends can be covered. In this case we are using barge shingles. On the left side of the roof, here we have barge left shingles, and on the right side of the roof, here we have barge right shingles. These barge shingles are not fitting with regular shingles. They don't need to match rows, and they are completely different from regular shingles usually. You cannot combine these barge shingles left-right version with regular left-right version, and they are also optional, so you don't have to use them. Next shingle type are top shingles. Top shingles are placed on the top line of the roof or ridge line of the roof. These top shingles can be modified into two optional variations: top start shingle and top end shingle. Next shingle type is slope shingle. These shingles are placed along the slope roof lines. Slope shingle has a single optional modification which is called slope end, and it is on the end of the line. And finally we have connector shingle type, which we are using for connecting top or ridge lines and slope lines. Adding shingle into library is very simple. First you need to select object. This object must be editable mesh. If it is not, you need to convert it. Then activate Add to Library tool. In this tool you need to set proper library type, so it will be shingle library type, and set shape type. This object is simple shingle, so you have to set simple shingle. Then click into viewport. I'm choosing top viewport because this shingle is sitting on top viewport, and that's the position how we want to store this in library, and then how it should be placed on the roof. You can see inside viewport that this shingle is a little bit rotated. This is because it needs to fit to other shingles with this little angle, and we want to store this object with this angle. Then you need to set directory where you want to store this object, and with Save Shape button you can save this object into library. All shingle types have one additional parameter, set base option. You can change it or adjust it with Set Base OpenGL button, and then clicking to Side Viewport, you can set different offset from the ground. So with this parameter, you can change offset from the roof surface or roof edge line, depends on which shingle type you are adding. Adding connector shingle type is a little bit more complicated. It is better to place this object on the roof, and you can add manually also another shingles on this roof manually, like top shingles and slope shingles, and then adjust this connector to the roof so you can check it fits with other shingles. Then hide other shingles, and you can add this connector type into library with help of this roof. Let's add this connector into library. First you need to select it, then activate Add to Library tool, choose library type to shingle, and set shape type as a connector. We need to choose viewport. I'm choosing top viewport because this connector is sitting on the top viewport. And for this type of shingle, we have two additional parameters. We need to set base and set pivot. Set base for this connector will be this roof line on the top. So this will be our base. I'm setting base with Set Base OpenGL button, and clicking in left viewport, I'll set this baseline into top roof line. Next, I will set a pivot for this connector, and pivot in this case is the connection point of these roof lines, two slope lines and one top line. So it will be here, this point in the center. Once we set a pivot for connector and base, then we can set additional roof lines, slope lines, top lines, and other lines. These OpenGL buttons are showing the direction of the roof line from the pivot. So this down arrow means slope down line. So I will set both slopes here. First slope, second slope. And straight line means the top line of the roof. So with straight line, I'm setting this top roof line. And when we check this in top viewport, you can see all is set properly. Base rectangle and all roof lines are set properly. This is three-way connector, and you can set any way connector with all these options. So it can be four-way connector, and depend on how many roof lines have this connection, you need to set pivot and these additional roof lines with these directional OpenGL buttons. Finally, just save it into proper directory. So into test directory, I will save this shape as a connector. You can add more versions of connectors into library. For example, 4-ways connector or 5-ways connector with different slopes, with different angles of these roof lines. So when you are using Shingle tool, which are using these connectors, you can add more versions, and when tool is placing shingles on the roof, it finds always best fitting to that case of the roof point.